everyone, welcome to BrickVault. My name is Jack, and today we've got every single LEGO Sith minifigure ever made. There were a lot of requests for this video, and I mean a lot of requests. Altogether, this collection equals 46 minifigs, and you can probably see that a couple of the characters make up the majority of the collection. These characters are of course Darth Vader, Darth Maul, and Palpatine. Each one of these characters I thought were significant enough for each of them to have their own review video, so when I'm going through the chronological release of all of these characters, don't expect to hear their names so much along the way, because throughout the episode I'm going to talk about each of these collections individually, and this way you'll have a clear view of how their details evolved over time. But remember to check the video links in the description below if you want to get any more information on these guys. So there's a lot of minifigs to get through, let's get started right now. So our first guy coming up here is this Count Dooku. The most unique feature of this guy is actually his curved lightsaber hilt. Just like in the movie, this hilt was specifically made for Count Dooku. Later in the series, of course, there are other Sith that use curved lightsaber hilts, but it started here with Dooku, and this particular mold for the hilt came out exclusively just for this character. The body itself is relatively simple. He's got detailing that shows his cape attached at the top by a chain, and you can see a belt. The printing is somewhat faded and smudged on the face here, but you can make out his eyebrows, beard, and even those old sunken cheeks. He came out in the set Jedi Duel 7103, and he's actually a pretty common fig, and getting this guy brand new will cost about $11. And after this guy, not much was happening with the Sith for several years, and our next minifig came out in 2008, and here is our first Asajj Ventress. She came out in the set Republic Attack Gunship 7676, as well as a Comic-Con display set. What makes her particularly unique is this skirt that she came with, and it might look a little bit funny, but give LEGO a little bit of credit. This was the first cloth skirt ever worn by a LEGO fig. Also, these curved lightsaber hilts are new and special for Asajj Ventress. But moving on, the printing of the head is very good. Both the front and back of the head I think have some nice detailing, and that printing on the front of the torso piece doesn't look too bad either. She's a relatively uncommon fig, and getting her brand new is going to be over $20. Moving on with 2008, here's another very uncommon Sith. This here is Darth Vader's secret apprentice. He came out in the set Rogue Shadow 7672. And then he was later released in a San Diego Comic-Con display set in 2014, and he was revealed as Galen Merrick. Both he and Darth Vader were pretty rough for the wear in this set, and the detailing for his torso definitely shows it. He's got some reflective metallic armor shoulder plating printing at the top, and detailing that shows a ripped shirt and bloody bandages underneath. Seeing as he only came out in a single set back in 2008, getting this guy in very good or new condition will be about $20. Moving on up, 2009 brings us a new Dooku. The first set he appeared in was Count Dooku Solar Sailor 7752. And the printing on the face definitely lets you know that this is Dooku from the animated series. The printing on the torso piece also reflects that. I think it does look a little bit better than the original printing, but that minifigure face definitely weirds me out. He's got a brown cape, the unique hilt piece for his lightsaber, and some gray slicked back hair. And in other sets he also did come with an alternate headpiece, which is a brown hood. Brand new, he costs about $8, but let's jump up to 2011 where we get our next Asajj Ventress. She came out in the set Sith Nightspeeder 7957, and when you compare her to the original Asajj Ventress, I think this next one looks a lot better. The print for the body definitely improves. The negative space printed on to show her hips matches up a little bit more with the clothes, and she's also got some better printing that matches up on the legs. The faces are nearly the same, though slightly different. When I magnify up on the heads, you can see that this new Asajj Ventress has gray eyes, while the original print has light blue eyes. That change in the mouth, though, I think is a regular printing fluke. Brand new, she is a $7 fig, but this other guy that came out in the same set is worth just a little bit more. This is Savage Opress. I went over this guy in the Darth Maul collection, but he's really cool and I just want to show him off again. He's got very good printing on the torso, front and back. The armor is very unique that goes on his shoulders. It's one of the only armor pieces that is just perfectly smooth. The printing for his face and matching Zabrak headpiece look really good together, and not only does he wield a double-sided lightsaber, but he's also got a giant axe. Really cool fig. This is the only version of him you could have gotten, and brand new, he's about $15. And talking about Darth Maul, let's go over his character in LEGO. He came out back in 1999 and was actually one of the first LEGO Star Wars minifigs released. This was the same year that LEGO got the licensing to Star Wars, and also the same year Episode 1 came out. Here's the evolution of his character throughout Episode 1. He definitely showcases some very cool improvements, and of course was the first character to have the Zabrak headpiece. Here are some of the more unique Darth Maul minifigs. I think my favorite one here is the Metal Legs Darth Maul, not just because he's a very unique figure to have, but I actually think this is the best printing of his face. Pretty much none of these guys were cheap. In fact, all Zabrak minifigs are pretty expensive. But if you want to learn more about these guys, I will of course leave a link for the Darth Maul collection. Jumping up to 2012, this is probably one of my favorite Star Wars minifigs made. This is Darth Malgus, and he came out in the set Fury Class Interceptor 9500. You're looking at him right now with just the printing on his body, and there was a lot of time and effort spent on the detailing here. It looks great, and they didn't really miss an inch. But I think the best part of the fig is this custom armor piece. Not only does it look very good on this guy, but this is probably one of the most highly detailed molds and prints for a single armor piece that I've seen in LEGO. And to further complement the figure, LEGO used a very uncommon cape that you can basically only use with an armor piece like this. It's a little bit more narrow and doesn't wrap around the shoulders, and a regular cape probably would have gotten crinkled up in a very strange way if they decided to use it. The printing for his face is highly detailed as well and extremely ominous, and there's basically nothing lacking in this figure at all. And in case you're wondering, yes, he is one of the more expensive figs of the entire collection. Getting this guy brand new is probably going to be about 50 bucks. In that same set, we also got our very first Sith Trooper. Make no mistake, these guys were not Force sensitive, but they did fight for the Sith Empire, and that's enough to make them Sith. The best part of this guy, I think, is the mold for the helmet and the printing that goes along with it. Like all LEGO helmet molds pretty much, these look pretty darn accurate, and it would have been kind of cool if these guys came with a little bit of extra shoulder armor. The Sith armor did always feel a little bit beefier than your average trooper, but nonetheless, the printing for the torso piece isn't bad. There's a lot of reflective printing and some very basic printing that shows a utility belt. The face for the Sith soldier is a very simple but mean looking one, and this guy came with a medium-sized blaster rifle. He's a much more common fig, only about 4 bucks. But let's move on up to 2013, where we get a bunch of other minifigs, including the last of the Dookus. This guy by far looks better than any of the Dookus. He came out in the set Duel on Geonosis 75017, and I really like that he still came with a chrome curved hilt. Because this piece was unique to him and only produced in chrome, I think he's the only lightsaber wielding minifig to still get a chrome hilt in 2013. For just about every other minifig, they were all phased out at least 5 years before this. But anyways, the printing for the body looks better. Still pretty simple, but that's because the printing for this actual character was very simple, but definitely done a little bit more tastefully. Now the best improvement is of course the face. This exact same face appeared on the Sodomon minifig from the Tower of Orthanc set, and that's because both of these characters were played by the same actor, Christopher Lee. Both prints for the expressions look really good, and I think they're pretty darn fitting for the character. This guy brand new is $20, and let's knock out the rest of these Sith Troopers. This Sith Trooper came out in the Jedi Defender class Cruiser 75025, as well as Republic Troopers vs Sith Troopers 75001. Comparing him to the first Sith Trooper, you can see that the only difference is he now has printed legs, and it's a pretty fitting print. They certainly match up better with the torso piece, and this guy feels a bit more complete. He's the cheapest of any of these Sith minifigs, and he only costs a couple of bucks. Here's a cooler minifig. This is the Sith Trooper Commando, and he came out in the Republic Troopers vs Sith Troopers set also. Showing him off next to the last Sith Trooper, you can see of course the bodies are very different, but actually all of the print detailing has changed as well. The helmet has some darker gunmetal printing towards the front, and they also just changed up some of the mechanical detailing as well. The red stripe through the center of the helmet is very thick too, and I think the printing for the body here has a lot more dimension. Actually, I'm not really sure if it has more dimension. I think the detailing just pops a little bit better on the red body. Either way, I think this guy looks cooler, and I think the funniest detail to point out is actually underneath the helmets. The Sith Troopers were never known for being very nice, and because this guy is a Commando Trooper, he just looks a little bit more angry than the other Sith Troopers. Kind of a very small detail to have on this minifig, but it's certainly well appreciated. Because this guy came out in what is essentially a battle pack, he's also extremely cheap, only costing a couple of bucks. Knocking out the very last Sith of 2013, this guy here is extremely unique. He was originally released under the name Sith Warrior in the set Jedi Defender class Cruiser like I mentioned before, but he also came out in the 2014 Comic-Con display set and was ID'd there as the Dark Lord Darth Maul. Either way, the detailing for this minifig is extremely good. The body for this minifig has probably some of the most complex mechanical detailing, at least for any of the Star Wars minifigs. I'm pretty sure none of the minifigs have topped some of the more recent Ironmans, but that is by no means saying that this minifig is lacking. Not only is it extremely intricate, but the detailing between the torso and legs match up particularly well, and it really gives a better sense for showing off this robotic body. Also, let's be real, this is the closest printing we're going to get on a face to an actual Terminator minifig. And the last thing I'm going to say about this minifig, which makes him a unique figure to have, is that he's the only minifig to be released with black-handled lightsabers. He's a $15 minifig and a very cool looking Sith. And before I knock out the last 5 Sith of this collection, let's take a closer look at all of these Palpatines. There are 8 Palpatines, and these guys actually have a decent amount of diversity between them. Here's the basic evolution of Palpatine as the Emperor. Those early prints for his face don't look very menacing, but I do think that first torso printing was better than the one in the middle. This guy by far has the worst face, and this one here has the coolest print for the body. This Palpatine's my favorite because he's got a super creepy face, and this is the only time you see his lightsaber and it has a gold hilt. Here's the cheapest and most expensive Palpatine. And if you want to learn anything more about this collection, once again, I will leave links in the video description below. Jumping back into the Sith collection, moving up to 2014, we get one new minifig, but this guy looks awesome. It is our Darth Revan minifig, and he was the May 4th exclusive fig for this year. I actually did an individual review for this fig because I thought he was so cool, but let's go through his details again really quick. Not only does the design for the printing on his body look really good, but I think this is some of the best quality printing I've seen. There are a lot of very finely printed lines all over the body, and I see zero smudging or fading. The mask looks good. I do wish there was a little bit more reflective printing, and I don't know why, but I kind of like the fact that there's no printing on his back. He's a character that's basically going to always be wearing a cape, and I guess I just don't see the point in printing on the back of the torso when you don't have to. He is one of the most expensive May the 4th exclusive figs, and brand new this guy's going to cost about 50 bucks. And moving up to 2015, we get 3 new minifigs. And I first want to check out the most recent Asajj Ventress. The printing for her outfit and face have changed, and I think it looks pretty good, but I kind of like the other Asajj Ventress just a little more. At least the printing for the body. I do appreciate how the large wrap or belt going around her waist ends up outlining the negative space on the figure, but something just tells me they could have done some printing on the legs, especially when they printed on the legs of the older version of this character. I do think this new print for Asajj's face is better. I always like the shape of the Lego designed artwork, more than that of the artwork that's trying to imitate the television series, and I think the markings on her face and back of the head look better when they're a little bit lighter. She came out in the set Anakin's custom Jedi Starfighter 75087, and she's about $5 on BrickLink. Next up is a very unique figure. This is the Inquisitor from the TIE Advanced Prototype set, number 75082. He exhibits some very nice printing. I especially like the fine lines that go down the torso, and the dark armor printing that goes on the front and back of his torso piece matches up pretty darn well with the exclusive armor piece that he got. The armor piece looks really good. I like how it kind of looks like a turtleneck towards his head, and it fits very well with his red visored helmet. This guy was a pretty slim figure in the show, and this armor and helmet does make him look a little bit clunky, but ultimately the molds and printing are very, very good. And also unique to this guy is a special handle for his lightsaber. This too is a very nice mold, and altogether the creation of this figure exhibits a lot of time and effort. He's 13 bucks brand new right now, but once this set retires, I have a feeling this minifig in particular is going to jump up quite a bit in price. Our last minifig of 2015 is Kylo Ren. He came out in the set Kylo Ren's Command Shuttle 75104, and you know what, our second to last minifig is also Kylo Ren from 2016, so I'm just going to show them off together. And this guy came out in the Battle of Takodana, set number 75139. The printing for the robes is very good. It's simple in most places because it's robes, but it has a nice bit of detailing for the belt buckle when it needs to be complex. You're looking at them both right now with their dark helmet on, and I know I've said this before, but let's be real, the similarity is uncanny. These guys come with a short and torn looking piece of cloth on their back, and this is of course the only character with the special cross-shaped lightsaber blade. It's a piece unique to this character, but what's also unique is he's the only character with a gunmetal colored lightsaber hilt. Now the real comparison between these two guys is what's on the head. Our first Kylo is just a black head with a print for the mask, and he also comes with an alternate headpiece that shows a hood. Our second Kylo actually shows his face and he's got 2 expressions, and his alternate headpiece is his longer hair. I think the first Kylo Ren with the print for the mask and a hood piece covering it looks better than the actual mask piece, but I can also appreciate the figure of Kylo Ren showing his face. These are both new figs, and the price for them is probably not stabilized, but our 2015 Kylo Ren brand new on BrickLink is going to be about 18 bucks, and this 2016 Kylo Ren with the expressions printed on is about 10 bucks. So that's it for the collection. I'm definitely finished now. There certainly isn't any other key Sith figure that I need to talk about, and I guess I'm just ending the video now. Kidding, of course, here is Darth Vader, and he's actually the most reproduced character here by a long shot. At the moment there are 14 Darth Vaders, and for the most part you can see he likes to dress in black. This here is a shot of the basic evolution of Darth Vader as LEGO improved upon his printing throughout the years, and pretty recently he got a new helmet mold. That's extremely unique. Almost under no circumstances does a character get a different mold for a helmet. The only other minifigs that I can think of that have gotten this done are Boba Fett, the Stormtroopers, and some Clone Troopers, but those all made sense because those minifigs couldn't really turn their head. Correction, you still can't turn the Snowtrooper head, but still. What's great about this new mold for the Darth Vader helmet is that it breaks away in 2 pieces, and it somewhat mimics what Darth Vader's helmet looks like when it's actually off in the movie. I'm just pointing that out because it shows just how much the LEGO designers really care about portraying Darth Vader. He's an extremely iconic villain, and it's nice to know that the designers over at LEGO are still figuring out ways to make him look better. Anyways, here is our cheapest and most expensive Darth Vader. That is somewhat of a large gap, and if you want to learn more about the Darth Vaders, once again, links in the video description below. Anyways, I think we finally did it, and here's the entire collection together. There are 46 minifigs in total at the moment, Darth Vader equaling about a third of the entire collection, with Darth Maul and Palpatine together equaling the other third. I don't know if I've got a favorite. They're a pretty good looking bunch, and I'm very happy that there's quite a few unique characters included as well. And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely know which Sith minifig I want to see next. So that's it for the Sith collection. If you have any ideas about another collection video you want to see in the future, let us know in the comment section below. If you enjoy our content, feel free to subscribe, and thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time at BrickVault.